You asked for more, and here they are, 8 more mystery series perfect for autumn reading. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life. After the amazing response that I had to the first video that I did in this little series, shall we call it, where I shared with you 6 series that I felt were perfect for autumn reading, I would have to say that nearly all of you asked for a part 2 to that video, and here we are. So I am back today to share 8 more mystery series. These range from cozy detective series to British mysteries to atmospheric crime fiction that will keep you reading all season long. So without further ado, we are going to get into the 8 more mystery series that I recommend. Grab yourself a cuppa and let us dive into all the titles I have to share with you today. For today's video, I decided to put the books in order of sort of their level of darkness. And so the first few mystery series are going to be a little bit more crime-based, very police procedural. They may definitely have trigger warnings in them, so be sure to look those up if you're concerned about that. And then we're going to work our way down to some much more cozier mystery series. Now, I won't call these cozy mysteries. I have a very special name for this type of mystery. I came up with this because I was looking for a particular type of mystery that I just felt didn't have a description to it or for it. And I came up with really the only phrase I could think of, which was cozy adjacent mysteries, which means to me that these mysteries have a lot of cozy elements to them, but they're very much structured like your typical detective novel or mystery novel, along the lines of things like Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, P.D. James, Ngaio Marsh. I was looking for books that were similar in style and tone to those authors, and I have been finding them over the course of the past few years since I came up with this cozy adjacent mystery idea. And I have a few series that definitely fall into that category. So I will say, if you are looking for very, very cozy mysteries, the type where somebody owns a bookstore or a bakery or a coffee shop and somehow they get involved in a crime or they witness something and then they go on to solve it, and there's nothing graphic about it. It's very kind of small town, small village mysteries. These are not those types of mysteries. I am not drawn to the real, very, very cozy mysteries. I like my mysteries to have a little bit more, I'm going to say, gravitas to them, that there's something about them that to me feels like there's a real reason why the people are involved in this mystery and why they are prompted to then want to solve it. And for me, that's kind of an essential part of a mystery. And so I really need that when I'm reading. And not everybody does, and that's perfectly okay. But there are lots and lots of booktubers out there who read very cozy mysteries, so I would urge you to seek them out, and I'm sure they can give you some wonderful recommendations if you're looking for mysteries that are very, very cozy. If you want just a step up from that, then you are in the right place. But let us get started without further ado. I'm going to start with probably what I consider to be the darkest mystery series that I have read and still really recommend and really enjoy, and kind of want to go back and reread this series because it's got a very unique angle to it and way that the series progresses, which I'll get into in just a moment. The first series that I'm going to recommend is Tana French's Dublin Murder Squad series. And the first book in the series is this one, In the Woods. And in this, we are following the characters, the members of the Dublin Murder Squad. In this first entry in the series, we are following Rob and Cassie. They are our 2 main detectives, Rob being the main character. When Rob was a child, there was something very dramatic that happened to him, and a friend of his went missing, and he has no recollection of what happened, even though he was present at the time. And flash forward, there is a young girl who is murdered. She is found in the woods, in the woods in the same place that Rob's friend went missing. And so it seems that the two mysteries are connected. And so he and Cassie are on the case to try to solve this. I will say, I do think that this book is probably the weakest in this really incredible series. I read it and I thought the writing was phenomenal, but it didn't wrap up exactly the way I was hoping for, and it left me really kind of wanting more. Now, what happens in this series is that one of the secondary characters from the current book becomes the lead character in the next book. And so in this series, the second book is called The Likeness, and it is following Cassie, who is Rob's partner in the woods. And The Likeness is one of my very favorite mysteries. It takes place on a college campus. It has very, very fall vibes to it. I'm trying to decide if I recommend that you read this series in order or if I think you can read it out of order. I do think you could read it out of order and enjoy each mystery almost as a standalone, because you do really get involved in the characters, and Tana French does a great job of kind of fleshing out and giving depth to their personal lives. And yet I would still recommend reading it in order if you're interested in this series and you haven't read it yet, just because I do think it kind of builds and we get to know some of the recurring characters throughout the series who are part of the Dublin Murder Squad. Characters from prior books show up in future books, so, you know, that is something to keep in mind. But I will say, if you read In the Woods, you're not wholly satisfied with it, still continue on. If you like the writing, if you like the characters, give Tana French another chance, because she really hits her stride in books 2, 3, and 4. I think there's 5 or 6 books in the series. And then she has since started another series. She's also written a standalone mystery. So there's lots of Tana French out there. She's a fabulous writer. She's not for everyone. She is very, very dark. So do keep that in mind. And I will say that her books definitely have subject matter that you should look into before reading if there is anything that you think might be triggering for you personally. But all of that aside, if you're a fan of the detective police procedural type mystery, Tana French is fantastic. Next up is a series by an author whom many of you brought up in the comments of my first video, because you were all saying, oh, Anne Cleves should be on this list. And she absolutely would have, except that for that first list, I really was trying to feature some mystery series that I don't think everybody knows about or hears about. And so I left off a few series that are very, very popular that I think a lot of people know about. And Anne Cleves is definitely an author that I think many mystery lovers are familiar with. She has written the Shetland mystery series. She has written the Vera Stanhope mystery series. And I've read a few books from each of those, though I've watched more of the television series of both of those than I have read the books. But she has a third series that I don't often hear talked about that I actually also really, really love. I think she's so good at creating atmospheric mysteries and also really intriguing characters. And her third series is the Two Rivers series, which features our main character is Matthew Venn. This is the first book in the series. It is The Long Call. Matthew Venn is a detective, and when this book opens, his father has just passed away, and Matthew grew up in a very, very strict evangelical community that was very closed off, very, I would say, almost cult-like in the way it was run. And Matthew has left that, but he has come back for his father's funeral. In the meantime, there is a body is found nearby where Matthew grew up, and so he is called into the case for that, and he gets sucked back into this community that he grew up but has since left. And so to meet people from his childhood, his mother, and this is such a well done mystery. I could not put it down, could not stop turning the pages. There are 3 books in the series so far. I believe there's going to be a 4th. If I have any information on release date for the 4th book, I will put that here on the screen for you and also link it in the description box below. And all of these books will be linked in the description box below. So if you want to check any of them out, I will probably link the first book in the series for each of the series so that you can start at the beginning if it's something that's new to you. But I really love this. Anne Cleeves is an amazing writer. So if you've enjoyed Shetland, if you enjoy Vera, definitely give Matthew Venn a try. I highly recommend it. It's very good. And I just feel like it's a series by her that is a little bit off people's radar, but shouldn't be. Next up is another series that's a little bit darker. We have a main character who, of course, is a little bit troubled. In this one, we're actually following a private detective, so not a police officer in this particular series, and that is the Jackson Brodie mystery series by Kate Atkinson. I love Jackson Brodie. I think he's a fabulous character, and if any of you have seen the BBC series that they did of a few of the books in this series starring Jason Isaacs, it is fabulous, and now he is all I can picture when I read these books. This is the newest book in the series, which is Death at the Sign of the Rook. I haven't read this one yet, but it is high on my TBR. But I think Jackson Brodie is fantastic. These mysteries are set, most of them are set in London or in and around London. It's always very cold and rainy, and you know, these mysteries, they definitely have a darkness to them, but I just think Jackson Brodie is a really engaging character. He has his demons for sure, as many private detectives and detectives do in mystery stories, especially modern mysteries, but he's still just very likable, and you get to know about him and his personal life. So again, this is a mystery series you should read in order because you get to know Jackson over the course of the books. But I highly recommend this one. So if you're looking for something not as quite as dark as the first 2 series that I mentioned, then definitely give the Kate Atkinson Jackson Brodie series a try. Next up is a mystery series, which I am sure will be familiar to many of you, and I know quite a few of you also love this mystery series, and that is the Three Pines mystery series by Louise Penny. The first book is Still Life, and this is a very long-running mystery series at this point. I believe we're on book 21-ish. I believe that's the one that's coming out in November, and in this we follow Chief Inspector Armand Gamache, who works for the Sûreté in Canada. This takes place in the town of Three Pines, which is south of Montreal, so between Montreal and the border to the United States. Armand is called in this first book because there was a death, suspicious death in Three Pines, and so we sort of start to get introduced to all of the characters, some of them likable, some of them not likable, and we follow along with this very kind of standard, typical, you know, kind of village mystery. Felt very kind of almost Agatha Christie-esque in this first book. I will say, I know I have heard from a lot of people that they think the first few books of this series are slow going. Now, I don't feel that way personally, but I can kind of understand it depending on the type of mystery that you're used to reading. We're getting a lot of character development, and it's got just a very kind of slower life pace to it in, I'd say, the first maybe 4 to 5 books. I will say after that, Louise Penny kind of changes the feel to the books and really kind of ratchets up the tension in terms of what's going on. We get some larger overarching storylines that cover multiple books, and our main characters get involved in some very hairy situations, and some really kind of hard things happen to them as the series goes on. But I just think Louise Penny's writing is phenomenal, and every single one of her books makes me want to just keep turning the pages. One of those series where if I'm reading it late at night, I just keep saying to myself, one more chapter, one more chapter, one more chapter. And suddenly it's 2 a.m. and I finished the book. That has happened. I love this series. This series is so good, especially in its heyday around books 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is just fabulous. I adore this. I wish she would come out with a cookbook of like a Three Pines cookbook, because I think that would be fabulous. The food in these books, there's a coziness to them in that respect, even though they're definitely not cozy mysteries, but just the friendship, the found family, all of the food, all of the sitting around the fireplace or around the kitchen table and all the conversations that they have. It's just wonderful. Okay, I've gone on long enough about this, but if you haven't read this and it sounds good to you, give it a try. And I think that might be the only series in this list that is not set in the UK. So if you want a non-UK mystery series, give Louise Penny a try. Next up is a mystery series that I think is taking us a little bit closer to that cozy adjacent mystery type that I mentioned earlier in the video. And that series is the Susan Ryland Mysteries by Anthony Horowitz. This is a very short series. It is a trilogy, so there are only 3 books, and I don't think there are going to be any more. I think Anthony Horowitz was convinced by a couple of people to even write the 3rd book. He wasn't planning on that. The first book is Magpie Murders, then we have Moonflower Murders, and then we have Marble Hall Murders. And what I really love about these mysteries is that it is basically 2 mysteries in one, because we have a book within a book. So Susan Ryland is a publisher. She works for a publisher. She's an editor, and she edits the mystery series by this man named Alan Conway. He has a main character named Atticus Pund, who I kind of view as like an alternative Hercule Poirot kind of character, and Atticus is fantastic. So we have the Atticus Pund mystery happening, and then we have the mystery that Susan Ryland is involved in surrounding that mystery. And I think that is a really, really clever thing to do, and very difficult to make you equally interested in both mysteries. And I think Anthony Horowitz does a pretty good job. I didn't love the first book 100% because Susan, I found her a little bit abrasive in that book, but she has since grown on me, especially after watching the TV series starring Leslie Manville. She's fantastic, and she really, I feel like, softened Susan's character, at least for me, in my opinion. And by the time I got to this 3rd book, which just came out and I just read, and I listened to the audiobook, which is partially narrated by Leslie Manville, fantastic. So good. I loved it. Cannot wait for the adaptation to come out. And I think Anthony Horowitz, obviously, he is a screenwriter in addition to writing novels. He wrote and created Foyle's War, if you've ever watched that TV series, which is one of my favorite TV series, mystery series of all time. It is astounding. So good. If you've never watched it, takes place during World War II in England. It's wonderful. Anyway, I digress, but I definitely think give the Susan Ryland mysteries a try. Like I said, they are not as dark as the prior books that I have mentioned so far. I really love that book within a book. So usually we start with Susan Ryland's storyline, and then we'll get a big chunk with Atticus Pund, and then we'll go back to Susan, then we'll get another kind of big chunk of Atticus Pund, and then we'll kind of end with Susan. And it's really well done. And I am kind of a stickler for dual storylines and how well they work together. And I think Anthony Horowitz really hits the nail on the head with this series. It's wonderful. Now, my last 3 books all definitely fall into my cozy adjacent mystery series bucket. I guess I'll call it a bucket. And I love all 3 of these mysteries, and they are very much like palate cleansers. So when I need something, I want a mystery, but I want something a little bit on the lighter side, these are the books that I turn to. And the first series is the Hamish Macbeth series by MCB. I can't remember if I've mentioned this before. I know people have mentioned the Agatha Raisin mystery series to me in the comments. I'm not a fan of Agatha Raisin. She rubs me the wrong way. And I've read 3 of the Agatha Raisin novels and no more. I think I DNF'd the 3rd one because I couldn't take her anymore, but I love Hamish. I think he is such a fun character. I think he's a detective constable in a small town in England or Scotland, and he is kind of lazy, He has no aspirations for promotion or moving up in the world. He just wants to live his sort of slow-paced village life and, you know, just go along with his own business, minding his own business. And yet he's really, really good at his job. He's a very good detective, and he's like a dog with a bone. He just won't give up, even though his superior doesn't like him at all. And so he runs up against, you know, he kind of does things outside the box a little bit. And so he and his superior are often butting heads. That kind of makes for an interesting dynamic, but I just adore Hamish. I love, love, love this series on audio. It is fantastic. So if you want something that's, again, that step up from the cozy mystery, but still has that very like little, you know, village, small town feel to it. And I'm sure Hamish won't be for everyone either, but I think he's hilarious. And I just really find these to be soothing and comforting and perfect reads for autumn, because Scotland is often very, very wet and cold and rainy. These books just make me want to curl up with a warm cup of tea. And next is another sort of small village mystery series set in England. And this one is set in the 1920s. And it's actually written by an American author, but he does such a fantastic job with this series. And it is one of my favorites of all time, and that is the Lady Hardcastle Mysteries by T.E. Kinsey. This is the first one, A Quiet Life in the Country, and in this we follow Lady Hardcastle and her lady's maid Flo. In the first mystery, they are recently returning to England from the Far East, where they have been living and working, and Lady Hardcastle's husband, who has passed away, was involved in sort of, I guess, like the equivalent of like MI6 or MI8, whichever one is the international branch. And so Lady Hardcastle and Flo have kind of gotten involved in some things because of that. Lady Hardcastle's brother is also involved in MI6 as well. And so, or whatever it's called this time, I can't remember. I don't think it became MI6 until after World War II. But Lady Hardcastle and Flo are just the most wonderful characters. I love their friendship. Even though Flo is her lady's maid, they're really more of friends. And it is so, so charming and lovely. And both of them are just witty and fun, and their conversations are lovely. The mysteries are usually, there's nothing too terrible happens. I mean, yes, there will be murders sometimes, nothing graphic. It all happens off the page. This is another series that is absolutely first rate on audio. Elizabeth Knowlton is the narrator, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. I pre-order them every time I hear a new one is coming out. I've listened to the Christmas novella of this series, I think for the past few Christmases, maybe since it's come out. I've listened to it every kind of Christmas season because it's just a fun way for me to spend more time with Lady Hardcastle and Flo, and I just adore this series. Cannot recommend it enough. It is the perfect, the epitome of the cozy adjacent mystery for me. So when I talk about that ideal, this is the ideal. And then lastly is the one mystery series in this group that is actually not a modern mystery series. And that is a mystery series written by an author who is mostly known for writing Regency romances. And that is the Hannah and Hemingway mysteries by Georgette Heyer. This one is They Found Him Dead. I'm not sure which number this one is. This is a series I don't really think you need to read in order. Each of the books is a standalone. It's kind of like Agatha Christie with Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple. You don't necessarily need to read them in any particular order in order to enjoy each of the mysteries in and of themselves. Georgette Heyer also has some other mysteries that she wrote that are standalones. I recommend those as well. They are also wonderful. If you're looking for a Christmas mystery, she has a great one called Envious Casca that takes place at Christmas time. And but this series is just really, really great. And again, cozy adjacent. It's got that very sort of vintage British classic crime feel to it, where a lot of them are sort of locked room mysteries. They take place at a big manor house. Maybe there's a shooting party or a gathering of people, and then somebody dies, and Hemingway and Hannah Side have to come in and figure out what's going on. So if you are looking for something like that, if you enjoy Agatha Christie and Niall Marsh and Marjorie Allingham and those types of mystery authors, definitely give Georgette Hare a try. I actually just found a couple more of the books in this series at my local secondhand bookstore, and I'm so excited to have more on my shelves to read. But I really recommend this series. I haven't read them all. I think I want to say I've read 3 so far of the Hannah Side and Hemingway books, but I definitely want to read them all, and I highly recommend this. Again, if you want something a little bit on the cozier, more vintage mystery feel side to it, then definitely give the Georgette Hare mysteries a try. And that will wrap up part 2 of mystery series that I think you can enjoy in the autumn months, or really anytime. These are all mystery series that I love picking up whenever there's a new book out or whenever I'm in the mood for them, whatever the season might be. But I think mysteries in the autumn are particularly lovely. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. Have you read any of these mystery series? Do you have any more recommendations for me? Let us chat all things mystery series down in the comments below. I think you can tell that I really do love British mystery series in particular. So that is what you have seen a lot of in these first 2 videos. And if you're here, but you don't have anything you'd like to add in the comments, but you'd like to let me know that you were here, why don't you leave something orange or pumpkin-y or autumnal in the comments. I love seeing those emojis and knowing you were here. And as I said, comments really do help my channel. And also, if you could hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, I would love to have you join my bookish community. And thank you all so much. The first video that I put out in this now going to be maybe a little series, I had no idea it was going to be so popular. So many people have watched it and commented on it and are still watching and commenting on it. I have gotten so many recommendations for mystery series, and I'm actually considering doing just a video of some of those series that I'm really excited to try. So if you want to see a part 3 and you would like to maybe have me talk about some of those mystery series that I'm looking forward to reading, definitely let me know that in the comments as well. So maybe there'll be a part 3. Maybe I should do a winter version of some of my favorite mysteries. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me in my cozy corner of booktube. And as always, I'll be back with another video very soon. Bye.